Welcome to another episode of the Grateful Gem podcast. I'm the host, Jasmine Chanel, and today we're talking about the 7 needs to knows before you get into a relationship. Stick around because gems are definitely about to be dropped. So get ready. Before I get into this episode, I need everyone listening to this podcast to follow the podcast on Instagram at The Grateful Gem Pod, and also follow your girl at Jasmine Chanel. Don't worry, I'll spell it out for you and put it in the episode notes. Okay, let's get started. Hey gems, welcome back to another episode. Your girl is 3 episodes in. I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful to have you listening. Keep listening, keep liking, keep sharing, and also just keep letting me know what you want to hear. So I am really excited about today's episode because it is talking about relationships. I know a lot of people said that they wanted to hear things about relationships, and before I get into this episode, I just want to tell y'all, I am not a relationship guru. I'm just going based off of what I've experienced in my previous relationships and what I'm currently doing different now in the dating realm. So recently, I did some self-reflecting. Of course, you guys know I'm just on this whole getting myself back right and getting back in line with my life and where I'm supposed to be going. So what better way to do that than to actually sit here and have time to look at, what are the things that I can grow in? What can I do to be a better me? Not only for myself, but for other people. And not just romantic relationships, but just relationships, period. So I looked at 7 things that I saw that I needed to pay more attention to that I have never really paid attention to in my previous relationships. And not only in my previous love relationships, but in relationships, period. With my family, with my friends, with everybody. So technically, this is just an in general relationship conversation that we're going to be having today. Not just between a male and a female, but just between relationships, period. Because just because you're dating someone doesn't mean you don't have other relationships. You have friends, you have families, you have associates, everything. So these are 7 things. Some of these things will just be geared towards romance though. But I think you can use them all in different ways in any kind of relationship. So let's just dive into it. So the first thing that I have on my 7 need to knows is time. Time is really important when you're talking about relationships. And when I say time, I'm talking about the time that it takes for you to develop a relationship. You don't have to rush into a relationship. I know that it gets hard sometimes when you're lonely or when you just want to have somebody to talk to. When you want to just be around someone, you rush into things. But my biggest thing is just take your time. That has not been an issue for me because all of my previous relationships have been years and years. And they took a long time. I'm a slow bloomer when it comes to dating. I don't just date anybody. I know that I have to get to know someone, and it takes a lot for me to date you. So I'm just putting that out there. That's me. A lot of people, they like someone, they talk to them for a little while, and then after that, they're dating me. No, literally, me and my ex-boyfriend, we talked for literally maybe a year and a half before we actually started dating. And that wasn't to me, that was fine. And to him, it was just dang, we talking for a year, But I like to take my time to get to know people and at least get some kind of feeling of who I'm dating. Because I feel like you can never 100% know someone because people change their minds every day. People wake up different all the time. So with that being said, I think that time is really important. Be able to take your time and get to know someone. Not only just about what they like, what their favorite color are, but honestly getting to know someone, because I know a lot of people that are in relationships and they are surprised about things that they have never noticed before when they take the relationship more serious. So when you're dating somebody, it's that innocent time, and then when you committed to dating that person and actually being exposed to a relationship, you find out all these things that you never knew. So you have to really just be paying attention to the things that are going on during the time that you're getting to know someone. Make sure you're looking at their body language. Make sure you're looking at things that they say, and not just taking the small things and brushing them off, because the smallest things are the things that makes the most sense. It may not make sense now, but it will later. And that's why I definitely think that time is a great thing to start with. Time. Take your time to get to know someone, and also take your time to get to know yourself while you're single or while you're developing this relationship. And that brings me to my next point. My next point is to be self-aware. So in my previous relationship, I can honestly say this was something that I had a problem with, or I struggled with, because now I have seen a lot of issues and things that I do that it's not going to grow a relationship, but it's going to hinder it, because I have certain flaws or certain things that I just do that just to me felt normal. And like I said, I did my fast. Of course, I'm not going to get into that today, but I got all these things revealed to me in my last 3-day fast. And that's why it was so overwhelming, because I was like, God, I never knew that I did these things. And like I said, they weren't bad. They weren't horrendous, but it was things that I can work on. And it's like, okay, well, I have to change these things. And I know they're not major, but to me they're a big deal, because I'm like, I don't want anybody to look at me and just be like, oh, she stuck up, or she's just so mean, or she's just so rude, I can't talk to her. So that's why I wanted to be self-aware. So be able to know what makes you tick in a relationship. Be able to know what your insecurities are. Be able to know what your flaws are, because when someone tells you something, or when your significant other or your friend or your family, when they come to you about things and you're not self-aware of them, you get defensive, and that's not going to be thriving for any relationship. So you want to be able to be self-aware and take criticism well, because even if you don't feel like it's true, just take it in and just try to be observant of yourself about how you act, what your body language is when you're having to have a tough conversation, or when you're having to do something you don't want to do, or when you have to put your pride aside. That was my biggest thing as well, pride. I'm just a person where I'm just like, I'm not doing that because I know I wasn't wrong. I'm just not going to say I'm sorry because it really wasn't my fault. And even if it is my fault, I don't feel like it's my fault. I have a big pride issue. No, reverse that. I had a big pride issue. That's no longer my story, y'all. So thank y'all for praying for me, because I don't have that problem anymore. I am not prideful, and I am humbling myself. So I think that is awesome for anyone that needs to be able to be self-aware. You have to know what makes you tick. You have to know your flaws and your insecurities, so that when other people point them out, you're not defensive and you're not on the deep end just getting upset for no reason, because it might just be true what other people are saying. So I do think that self-awareness is also important. The next thing that I have is communication. Oh my God. Story of my life. All this time I've been like, oh, I'm just the best communicator and da-da-da-da. I just keep it real. I'm telling you how I feel. Y'all know my previous podcast. If you haven't listened to them, please go check them out, because I keep it real, for real, y'all. I keep it 100 with you guys. But communication is very important. And to be honest, communication is really what broke my last relationship. We weren't able to communicate at all about nothing that was important. And it was crazy because we talked every day. We didn't really talk about things that needed to be said, which was bad, and it really hindered our relationship. And when it got time to talk about those things, it was just like, what are you talking about? Like, okay. And I'm the type of person, if I don't feel what you're saying, I'm like, no, no. And he's just like, I can't tell you nothing, because every time I tell you something, you get upset. Or every time I say this, you look at me like, boy, what? And that's true. I, at the time, was like, no, I do not. You can be honest with me. Just be honest. You don't have to sit here and go around and beat around the bush. Just get to the point. Cut to the chase. But I realized that because that's how I want you to be with me, doesn't mean that's how you're going to be. Everyone communicates differently, and I'm learning that still. And I told y'all in my previous podcast, I'm definitely living that in my life for real, because when it comes to my friends and things, everyone communicates differently. So I'm at a point where now I'm just altering and watching what comes out my mouth. Not only am I watching what comes out my mouth, but I am also just thinking before I speak. Thinking about, okay, well, is this going to offend this person? Is this going to make this situation worse, or is it going to help it? Okay, and if it's not, how can I change this to where it makes sense to me and it also makes sense to the other person? But as a more of an 80-20 rule, so 20% making sense to me and 80% making sense to that person, because of course this is something that they're conveying to me. So I want to be able to get it out on a point where they understand. And that was a big issue in my previous relationships. It was hard for people to communicate, and not only people but me as well, because I don't want to say anything that's going to offend somebody. But I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely going to tell you the truth. And like I said in my previous podcast, a lot of people can't receive the truth as the truth. You have to like curve it and color over it and all those things. So definitely communication is a big thing in relationships, a big thing. And if you don't have communication, it's going to be really hard because it shadows a lot of things in your relationship. You don't know what's going on with the other person. Even if they're saying good, their actions are going to speak louder than their words. And when it comes to having that conversation, you're going to be dumbfounded because it's like, hey, I thought we were doing great. Then something happens and you're like, okay, where did this come from? I did not expect this. You didn't tell me anything. I'm thinking everything is cool. But that's why you have to be able to communicate and be able to be open to what's being talked about in the communication. So don't just be hasty. Just make sure that you have an open mind. And I'm not just preaching to y'all because I'm preaching to myself too. Because when I tell y'all, when people tell me stuff that I 100% do not believe, I'm like, no. What are you talking about? So I have to learn to just be quiet, literally. Shut my mouth, take it in, receive it, dissect it, think before I speak, then speak. And to me, that's just a bit much. I'm just going to be honest. It's a bit much. But for the sake of my relationships, I have to be able to do that. Because I would hate to just keep losing people or keep offending people because I can't be nicer or I can't maneuver the things that I'm saying. So that's a big thing that I'm working on too, communication, because that is really key in a relationship. I would say that's really up there in the things that you need to have in a successful relationship. 4 is intentions or purpose. So I know a lot of people have their attachments that attract you to somebody or attract you to a relationship, but when you sit down and talk to 9 out of 10 people in relationships and you ask them, well, where are you guys going? Or, why are you guys dating? A lot of people really, to be honest, and it's kind of sad, but a lot of people don't really know. A lot of people don't know where they're going. And I think that is something that should be said. That comes back to communication as well. You have to be intentional. You have to have intentions in a relationship. You can't just say, oh, I'm going with the flow. There's no way you can just go with the flow in a relationship. There needs to be intentions, whether we're just friends or we just kicking it or we just cut buddies or friends with benefits, whatever. I need to know. We need to be on the same accord so that when it's time to have that intention conversation or when something happens, I'm like, okay, cool, let's figure this out. What are we doing? We need to know what we're growing towards. We need to know what we're working towards. I can't just be in a unpurposeful relationship because it's meaningless. Like, you're going to waste your time with somebody for years thinking that it's going to grow into something, grow into a marriage or grow into anything. Like I said, it doesn't have to just be with the opposite sex, but just in relationship period, you have to know what the intentions are and what the purpose is. And a lot of people don't know that. When you sit down and you talk to people that are in relationships and you ask that question, a lot of people are like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you guys didn't talk about intentions. You guys don't talk about purpose. What is the purpose of you being with this person? What is the purpose of your relationships? Is this relationship helping you or is it hindering you? Because a lot of people get in relationships and they really don't have a clue what's going on, and they're just like, oh, we just kicking it or we just whatever. Okay, as long as you guys have an agreement to that and your intentions are the same, okay, perfect. But when you have 2 people that are in a relationship and neither one of them knows where they're going, it's like, ooh, girl, okay. Whatever floats your boat. Like I told y'all, I'm not the one to judge nobody. Whatever works for you, works for you. But these are the 7 things that I'm doing. So I need to be intentional. And it also states in the Bible, you have to have intentions in relationship, not just with your significant other, but with people. You have to have intentions. What are you guys doing? Why are we friends? Why are we dating? Or why are we talking? What are the intentions? What is the purpose of this relationship? Are we growing each other? Can I help you? Do you help me in places where I lack? Do I help you in places where you lack? Because when you're in a relationship with people, there's a connection. So not just past that connection, you have to realize, okay, well, where is this connection coming from? What is this connection doing for me? Is this person helping me, or are they bringing me down? Am I helping this person, or am I bringing them down? Because you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody, regardless of what kind of relationship it is, if it's not purposeful, if it's not meaningful. If it's meaningless, you need to let it go. And you need to keep going and figure out, what are we doing? You have to draw the line somewhere. So I really think intentions and having a purpose in a relationship is key, because if not, you're both going to be in the unknown thing, and then when it's time to have that conversation, you're going to be butting heads and not knowing what's going on, and one person's going to be looking crazy at the other, but it's because you wasted 5 or 4, 3 years, 1 year, whatever. Time is time. You wasted time not having these conversations, or you dated this person for 2 or 3 years, and then later on you want a relationship and they're like, no, I thought we were just kicking. I thought we was just cool, because that intention boundary was never set. So you have to be intentional with people and let them know what it is that you're looking to gain from a relationship, because a lot of people, especially women, my heart go out to us a lot of times, because we get in relationships and we get our heart broken because the other person doesn't want what we want, or we don't know what we want. So when it comes to time to have that conversation, we're like, or you have a significant other that you don't really see yourself with in the future, but you're just in that relationship because it's comfortable. But you have to be able to get uncomfortable and look at change and realize that, okay, something has to give, because I'm not about to keep sitting here being unintentional with no purpose in this relationship, and it's draining you and it's not meaningful. You're not helping that person person's not helping you. So you have to be able to realize the intentions and purpose in a relationship. That is very, very important. I mean, this is not something that you have to sit down on the first date, but once you see things are getting serious, this is a conversation that really needs to be had, and we don't have that conversation enough. So I am solely for intentions, because like I said, this is something that I've been looking at, and you have to be on a clear page and be honest when it comes to intentions too. Don't just say what you think the other person want to hear. Just honestly be honest, because it cuts out a lot of time, and 9 times out of 10 the other person may want what you want as well. But you have to be open, and you have to be willing to be honest with what it is that you want. So again, intentions is very important. The 5th thing that I have is love language. So I came across this website recently where you can look on here and figure out what kind of love type you are. They have like several different ones: words of affirmation, gifts, affection. I can't think of the others, but they're like 5 or 6 things on there. And I took the test, and I like the things that I am attracted to for the love languages. It was, when I took the test, it came out true. I need words of affirmation. I don't need affection, because I don't like people touching me. I'm not affectionate at all. I am affectionate, but at a certain point, and it's just like, okay, well, no. But my biggest things was words of affirmation, and I can't remember the other one, but I know it was definitely words of affirmations, because my thing is, regardless of what you do, if you never say, like, if you act like you love me and you never say you love me, I'm like, what? Like, he act like he love me, but he never say he love me. Or if you act like you miss me, but you never say you miss me, you act like you miss me, but you never say you miss me. So I definitely need words of affirmation, and I cannot think of the other one to save my life. I know it's not affection, because I'm not big on affection. I have to look that up and get back with y'all on that, because I really cannot think about what that was. But anyways, there's a lot of different love languages. So I do solely suggest that you guys take the love language quiz, or have your significant other take it as well. So that way you can better understand how to satisfy the needs of your significant other. Because if you're constantly, I think mine was gifts. Maybe, no, it wasn't gifts. I'm going to take it in a minute and just let y'all know what the second one was, because I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But anyways, like I was saying, but if you can get to know the love languages of your significant other, I believe that it really helps you understand how to love that person and how to care for that person on a different level. So say if you're dating someone and they need words of affirmation and they need like spontaneous gifts, and you need words of affirmation and quality time. I figured out. Mine was quality time. Y'all just help me. Thank you. Mine was quality time and words of affirmation. I definitely need those two. I need time to spend with you, and I need for you to affirm the things that you're acting on. So those were my two: words of affirmation and quality time. But anyway, say if you're dating someone that has words of affirmation and quality time, and all you doing is buying them gifts all the time and doing other things besides the two things that they have, that person is never going to feel filled in that relationship, because it's like, okay, well, you buy me all these things, but I really don't care about those gifts. I really just want to spend time with you. Or, we talk all the time, but you never give me words of affirmation. You never tell me that you love me, or you never, and when you do, it's very seldom. Or you never tell me how you feel, or you never tell me that you miss me. So I really, truly think that love languages are something that is going to help you guys in relationships, because it lets you know how to love that person on that level. It lets you know what they like. So if you're like a person that's like, oh, I just love spontaneous stuff, I just assume my significant other love it because every time I do it, he's so excited or she's so excited. It may be that they are excited, but that may not be the thing that they really need in a relationship. So you have to be willing to either pay attention to the things that you do. When you do words of affirmation, how do they react? When you give them gifts, how does they react? When y'all want to spend quality time, are they willing? Are they excited, or are they just mellow? You have to just really be aware of the things that are going on in the relationship. So I definitely think that love languages would be a good thing to notice, because it helps you understand that person on how they need to be loved, because it can really be detrimental for someone to be with someone for 2 to 3 years or longer, and then at the end y'all break up because it's like, oh, well, you never told me you love me, or when you did, I didn't feel you meant it because you only told me like 2 or 3 times. And it's like, what? Then you go back and you look and you're like, oh, because Susie or Bob, they needed words of affirmation and I was over here buying them gifts all the time, or they wanted to spend quality time with me and I just want to talk to them all the time. So you have to be able to recognize what it is that your significant other needs from you and how you can give that to them. So definitely words of affirmation. I know a lot of women need that. Some men need that as well, but it's more so women. I know I definitely need words of affirmation and quality time. I love spending time with my significant other. If that is something, if I'm into you, I don't mind being around you. We don't have to do much of nothing, but just being able to spend some time with you is me. And it's crazy because I'm not clingy, but I just like spending time, and I need that time, and I need those words of affirmation. Hello. But yeah, love languages, I think that is really important. The next one I have is team. Woo woo. I know this is like things that are so common sense, but it's a lot of things that we overlook. And I know they definitely, I can't speak for you guys, but it definitely there's a few things on this list that I really never really took the time out to care about, because it's just like, whatever, I'm just dating this guy. We might not even be together next week. And that goes back to intention, okay? So there's a lot of things on this list that I never really paid attention to until now. So team. And the reason I put team is because I see a lot of people get in relationships, but they still act single. Or they get in a relationship and they're in competition with their significant other. Or they get in a relationship and they just act like they don't want to be in one. Or they act like it's me versus you. Like, it's not. When you're in a relationship with someone, you're a team. So that goes so far as to say, like, and I know that a lot of people have this problem when it comes to like arguments or things. When things happen, you have to be mindful of what you say about that person to other people, because it not only makes them look at you some type of way, but it also builds a rapport for that person. So say if you call me and you like, girl, let me tell you about this dude, or let me tell you about my girl, she tripping, he tripping, da 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 happened, and bop bop, whatever. And I'm tired of him. He told me this or she told me that. And I'm like, oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, she didn't. No. Going on. And I'm not building a rapport against you. It's with him or with her. Because it's like, no, you're not going to disrespect her. You're not going to disrespect him. But we have to be mindful. When we do that, it makes us look at them crazy. So it just goes back to being a team. You have to be able to, you can communicate things that's going on with your significant other, but you have to be mindful and you have to filter your words to not negative words, but positive words. And I know that's hard because what we're doing is we're building a bad rapport against our significant other, and it makes people think that, oh, well, you don't need to be with that person because they did da 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 da. It could have been something that really happened once, or really didn't even happen, because as you know, there's 3 sides to a story. It's your side, their side, and then you got the truth, because everybody sees stuff differently. So when you're going through something with your significant other or your friend or your family, you have to really be mindful about the things that you say about them, because it builds a rapport up. And 9 times out of 10, when that happens, it's not a good rapport. And that just goes again back to being a team player, being a teammate with your significant other, because you have to realize that we're not in competition. We're not against each other, but we're supposed to be working towards each other. And like I said, that just goes beyond romance. It goes beyond to your friendships, to your family, to your business partners. Relationships is about being a team, being on the same team. So you have to be mindful that if something happens and it rubs you the wrong way, of course you can talk about it, but you don't have to be like, oh, child, girl, let me tell you, because he done tried me today, and I done told him this the last time he done tried me. He not finna keep, or she not finna keep. You have to really be able to, and I know it takes a lot, because when I'm upset, there ain't nothing nobody can tell me about nothing. I don't care. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about his mama. I'm just talking about everybody, okay? Because I'm upset. And it ain't got nothing to do with his mama, but his mama brought him in the world, so it's her problem. She need to deal with it. And I just be going in, y'all. I'm just being real. Like I said, God's still working on me. I'm not perfect. But I have to, now I realize that, when things happen, I have to be able to, of course, I can talk about it. Or, like, if it's to the extreme, I have to just wait and calm myself down. Then be like, child, let me tell you about what happened earlier. Me and such got into an argument about such and such, and da-da-da. But we good now, because we talked about it, we communicated, and da-da-da. So, and of course, I know that each and every conversation that comes up is not going to be peaches and cream. Let me tell y'all now. It is not going to be peaches and cream. But you have to remember that you have to not confront. Instead of confronting the situation, you have to, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Instead of criticizing, you have to confront. So instead of feeling like, oh, I got to comfort this person, I'm finna tell them about themselves, they done tried me, you have to be able to confront them and just say, hey, we're having this problem, and we've talked about this several times, and whatever that problem is, you just go into it. Instead of coming at the person like, da-da-da-da, you did this, da-da-da-da, you, because when a person hears you over and over, and they automatically get defensive because you're coming at them. So you have to confront instead of criticize. And that is something that I'm also learning as well, because I am quick to be like, oh, no, it was not my fault. It was your fault. Don't sit up here and try to tell me it was my fault. I didn't do nothing. So that is something that I'm living by. Confront instead of criticize. And also, I had to remind myself that being kind is better than being right, because I'm a person where I'm just like, I told you so. I knew it. Like, I try to tell you, but you want to sit here and get mad at me because I'm telling you the truth, and you don't want to hear the truth. So now I'm just like, be kind, Jasmine. Don't worry about being right, especially in front of other people, because I'm sorry, I'm me, and I ain't got time to be waiting to tell you how I feel, because I'm going to forget what I'm about to say. So I'm going to tell you how I feel right now, because you know, piss me off right now. And that's also something that I'm working on too. You have to be able to wait on time. You have to do things at the right place at the right time. You can't be snapping on people in front of everybody, especially not no man. Because let me tell you, honey, they ain't having it. The minute you snap on them in front of somebody, they snapping back. And they snapping back harder than you because you done tried their pride, you done tried their ego. They friends looking at them like, oh, he a little B. Like, oh, you gonna let her talk to you? Like, you know how we be, like, or you know how they do, the dudes do, and the girls too. Because it's like when your dudes do something, your friends say, you're like, oh, girl, you gonna let him talk to you like that? Girl, no, he did what he said about your mama. And it's like, oh, no, he said that. So now we on different teams. I'm with my girls and you with your dudes. We on the wrong team. And then at the end of the day, if y'all living together, if y'all married or whatever, y'all staying together, whatever, or you spending the night at that person's house, now you got to go home. Or y'all got to go home together, and y'all got to sit at each other and look at each other and remember what you said about his mama and what he said about your mama. And it gets to be a point where it's like, okay, listen, we are grown adults, we need to draw the line because but I'm just gonna tell y'all, man, when it comes to that pride, honey, and that ego, you can just hang it up. So now I'm learning that you have to be kind over being right. And I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, I don't know if I can do that because when I'm right, I'm right. I don't care. I'm right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I'm right. And it's really hard for me to be like, you know, Jasmine, just take this bullet. And that comes back again with pride. So I have to be able to be humble and be unprideful. So literally, I'm telling y'all, this is stuff that I'm working on because I know that this has been a problem in all of my previous relationships. I love confrontation. I don't care about confrontation. I will confront you all day long, and I will confront you and criticize you. But now I'm confronting instead of criticizing. And I'm going to be unprideful, and I'm going to be humble and be kind over being right. So I'm just giving y'all these gems because they were given to me. And I want y'all to succeed in y'all relationships, whether it's with whoever. I want y'all to be abundant in relationships and have successful relationships and be able to learn how to pull a relationship back, even when it's falling off. Because, of course, life happens, and life happens in relationships, too. You know, you may get into it with your best friend. You may get into it with your cousin, with your auntie, with your mama. You may get into it with somebody. But I just want to give y'all some steps to take when you are getting into it with somebody so that the relationship is not hindered as much as it could be by stupidity. I said that wrong. Because a lot of times we lose people or we fall out with people about things that are so stupid. And then years and years go by and then we come back and it's like, girl, I didn't mean that. Or I didn't mean that. That didn't even happen. And then it's like, we sat up here and wasted 5 years of our lives not talking to each other because of something that, one, maybe didn't even happen. Or two, because we didn't know how to communicate. Three, because instead of being on a team, we were going at each other's neck to neck and we just couldn't deal with it no more. So that just comes back to all the things that I'm giving y'all. So yes, team is definitely something that y'all need to realize that we are on the same team. And if it gets so bad to the point where it's like, you have to remind them, you need to say, hey, listen, we on the same team. Like, you don't got to come at me like that. We're on the same team. Even though you're mad right now, we on the same team. And let's go back and let's calm down and let's communicate through this issue. And again, I know that's hard because I'm still living through this. It's hard being a big person, okay? Just tell y'all. Most importantly, the last thing that I have is trust. Oh my God. This one is really important. You have to be able to trust somebody. So, and also with trust, I'm going to say not just trust, but trust and forgiveness. You have to be able to forgive because we are forgiven each and every day for the things that we do. Not just by somebody else, but most importantly by God. Hello. In the Bible, it says we are to forgive 7 times 70. So, you know how many times that is? A lot. So, if somebody wrongs you one time and you can't forgive them, that's not right. That's technically a sin because God forgives us for everything that we do, and we have to be willing to have that same forgiveness. We can't hold grudges because when you hold grudges against somebody else, you block your own blessings. So honestly, forgiveness is always not for the other person, but it's most importantly for you. And people never realize that. People say that a lot, but they don't understand the fact that it really is for you. Because when you're walking around holding grudges with someone because you don't trust them or you can't forgive them for something that they did that made you not trust them, you're blocking your blessings because you're blocking your heart, and it's turning you into someone that you're not because you can't let go and you can't move on. And I know that it's hard. Someone may really did something to you that you feel like that's just unforgivable. And trust me, I've been there. I've been through some unforgivable things. But I had to get to a point where I realized that, hey, that's that. I held on to it for however long, and I'm going to let that go. Because at the end of the day, I am not about to block my blessings. And I have to literally give it to God and just say, God, mend my heart, cleanse my heart, because I do not want to sit here and have a grudge against somebody else and block my own blessings. You're not going to block my blessings. No, you're not. Like Lecrae got that song called Can't Block It. No, snakes gotta watch him. They're gonna try to block your blessings. Keep faith on us. No, God got me. See? Can't let them block your blessings. Snakes, friends, foes, whatever. You have to be able to forgive. Because if you can't forgive, you can't get blessed. Remember that. So when you walk around holding grudges against somebody that did something to you long time ago, even if it was 5 minutes ago, you have to be able to say, God, I don't understand this. I'm still hurting, but please mend my heart. And please let me forgive this person because I don't want to block my blessings. Because that immediate blessing that could have been coming to you that next day is blocked because you blocking somebody else in your heart. And that means that if they needed something, they can't pick up the phone and call you. And if they do call you, you ain't going to do it because you upset. So you blocking your blessings. Sus, let that hurt go. Bro, let that hurt go, okay? Let that hurt go and get this work. Get these blessings that God has for you because you need them. And if you did, he might be blessing you. So don't let nobody take your blessing. So you need to be able to forgive and you need to be able to trust. And I know that there's a lot of things that people go through in relationships, especially with dating, with cheating or infidelity, lying, being lied to, being manipulated. There's a lot of things that go back that you may feel like, oh, I just cannot forgive this person. You know, they did this to me not only once, not only twice, but 3, 4, 5 times. They still did it to this day. There's a lot of things that happen. But again, you have to learn to be the bigger person and you have to forgive. And of course, like I said, I'm going through this myself, being able to forgive people and actually forgiving and letting go. I don't want to hold on to it either. Because if I'm reminded of it, that means I'm still holding it against you. And I didn't fully forgive you. So I want to forgive and I want to forget. Because like I said, God said that we are to forgive 7 times 70. So if he wants us to forgive, it's for a reason. And it's for our own good. It's not for that other person. And it may feel like, oh, well, they did me wrong and I'm just supposed to forgive them. Yes, because God gonna bless you. God's got a blessing for you, and whenever that blessing comes, you do not want him to say, nope, I can't give it to you because you was mad at whoever for however long, and I've been trying to bless you for that many times a year. I've been trying to bless you since that happened, and you still are not able to let go. Not only that hurt that they did, but somebody else hurt you, and this person hurt you, and this person hurted you, and that person hurted you. You got to forgive yourself as well. And that's another thing, too. A lot of people beat themselves up about things that happen in relationships. Even if it is your fault, you have to learn how to forgive yourself, forgive that person, give it to God, and move on. Because at the end of the day, you're going to block your blessing trying to figure out, or not even figure out, but trying to just walk around like, oh, I don't trust nobody, or I don't trust. And at the end of the day, who wants to walk around like that? Like, you got to be looking over your shoulders every 2 seconds. Like, girl, they trying to get me. Ain't nobody trying to get you. You getting yourself because you got trust issues. And that's another thing. A lot of people have trust issues. And you have to be mindful that when you're dating somebody, trust issues is big because that means they have a lot of insecurities. And of course, we all have insecurities, but when it comes to trust, that is a different thing because that person will want you to be telling you 100 times a day what you doing, where you at, calling you, checking you, video phoning you. Let me see you with your grandma. See me a picture of your grandma. Like, no, I'm not doing all that. I'm sorry, because that means that you're not self-aware. You're not aware that whatever, I'm with you for whatever reasons, I love you and I'm telling you these things, you don't trust me and you don't trust yourself. So that just goes back to being self-aware. You have to get with people that are self-aware, and not only get with other people that are self-aware, but also be self-aware. Know where your flaws are. Know how to control them and tell yourself that I'm worthy of this person or I'm worthy of this relationship. I am able to trust people. I am able to forgive. And also pray about it. Y'all know I'm big on prayer. Pray about it. Get that thing to God. And God will reveal to you whether you need to be with this person or not. Whether it's a friend, foe, whoever, family, whatever. If this is a person that you can't trust and you really want to trust them, you need to say, hey, God, my heart is really heavy right now. There's something going on underlying. I don't know what it is, but I feel it in my spirit. God, can you just really reveal what's going on? Why I can't fully trust this person? I know they did such and such a long time ago, but I said I forgive them, but we're still in this relationship, but we're still walking like this happened yesterday. And I want to forgive them and I want to trust them, but every time I try to, I can't. And God will surely reveal whatever it is that's going on. I'm telling y'all, if there's something going on, God's gonna show it to you. And if it's not, He's gonna show you that too. He's gonna reassure you. But do not pray that prayer if you're not ready for the truth. Because if something happens and you like, oh, Tyrone done told me he wasn't with nobody, and the Lord just revealed he was with somebody. I just seen him in the car riding with Shaquita. No, I'm telling y'all got to be ready. Be big enough to say, okay, thank you, God. I took that. Let me get my stuff. Let me pack up and let me move on. Because there's the reason why you're not able to trust. And if it's meant for you to trust that person, God will do the opposite. He will show you that there's nothing going on or whatever. God will definitely show up and show out. He ain't going to cut it and color code it for you. He going to give it to you raw. So if you pray that prayer, you have to be ready to get the answer, good or bad. And you have to be willing to say, okay, God, once you reveal these things to me, I'm going to do da-da-da-da, and stick with what you say, because definitely God will send you somebody that is for you. You don't have to chase and fight something that is meant for you. And you have to be willing to let it go. And if it comes back to you, then it's unvoid. God blessed it. So you have to just be willing to walk by faith in all things that you do and be able to trust, definitely. So I hope that these things were helpful. Again, the 7 needs to knows before you get in a relationship is 1, time. Remember that time is everything. Take your time to get to know these people. And also take your time to get to know yourself. That's the second point, self-aware. Be aware of your insecurities. Be aware of your flaws. Be aware of the things that you are not perfect in and how you can make them better. 3, be able to communicate. Communication is key. I preach this all the time. You have to be able to communicate effectively to have a successful relationship. 4, intentions. Be in a purposeful relationship. Do not be sitting here wasting time with people thinking that it's going to go somewhere when you know good and well it's not. And don't be afraid to have that conversation because you're afraid of what they're going to say. Be real with yourself and be real with them. So make sure you have intentions and make sure that the relationship that you are pursuing is purposeful, whether it's love, friendships, family, whatever, business, anything. Make sure it's purpose. The 5th thing was love language. Make sure you figure out how your friends or how your family or how your significant other, how they like to be treated, what they like to know that you care, how they like to be loved. So figure those things out. 6, remember that you guys are a team. No matter, even if you're upset, how mad they made you. Of course, everybody piss you off sometimes. You got that family member that just get on your last nerve. That nerve that's in the back of your head, make you want to punch somebody in the face. But you have to remember that, okay, let me step back and calm down. Because we're a team. So don't forget that. And remember that when you're having those conversations with your friends or with other people, that you have to be able to remember to say, okay, well, this happened and we're not perfect, but this is what happened, but this is what happened after that. So we were able to come back and realize, okay, I hit below the belt, you hit below the belt. We're a team, and we're going to continue to be a team. So, the last thing is trust. Make sure that your trust is on point, and make sure that you're with somebody that's able to trust. And if not, pray about it. God will definitely reveal what it is that you need to do. And I just hope that these 7 things were really, really, really helpful to someone. Like I said, I know these are not all the things that you need to know before getting into a relationship or how to have a successful relationship. But these are the things that God has revealed to me. And these are the things that I'm working on, not only for a romance, but literally just in my life with relationships, period. And I also saw this quote earlier. It says, to love is nothing, to be loved is something, but to love and be loved is everything. I saw this quote today, actually when I was looking at the love language section of my 7 Needs to Knows. I saw this quote pop up on a website and I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing. That is true. To love is nothing, to be loved is something, but to love and be loved is everything. So we have to take that into consideration with our relationships and be able to to love someone and to give them love and show them love. That is everything. And once you have that down pat and you continue to do the things that flourish your relationship, you will be set and ready, okay? Doesn't mean that it's going to be easier, because any relationship takes work. So you have to be committed to being able to put in the work that's needed in the areas that you're lacking. So you have to be able to also do work in yourself, and the other person has to be willing to put work into their self and into the relationship as well. So again, I hope that this is helpful to you, that you're able to use these things and help grow your relationships. And if you're not really looking to do those things with your relationship, I hope you just take heed to them. Hopefully they were informational. And I hope that you continue to listen. Let me know how you like them. Let me know what you guys want to hear on some topics. If you have any topic ideas, don't hesitate to write me on Instagram, get in my DMs, because I will be checking those. But I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful day. And don't forget to keep shining as the gems you are. Okay. Bye, y'all.